The high interest rate policy of Omar and the PNP has been one of the most destructive forces in the history of Jamaica's economy. It led to the financial sector collapse, where over 40 financial institutions went. Entrepreneurs that previously had been heralded by him, some of them are exiles abroad now. Many entrepreneurs lost their businesses. Many companies that were over 100 years old in Jamaica were destroyed and sold to foreigners. That is the legacy. And even one of his colleagues who sits in this room today described it as the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich since the abolition of slavery.
The financial shock, which began in 1991 in Jamaica, ballooned unchecked over the next 5 years until it exploded with a catastrophic bang in 1996. The explosion left shrapnel scattered over the financial landscape, which still impacted on the economy so many years later. My sister Valerie Dixon,
So what I want to bring out this morning is that a lot of people do not understand where this thing came from. And I want to just read a little from an appendix that was written in the Observer some time ago. It says, when Omar Davies, then PNP finance minister in the 1990s, began the process of dismantling the Central National Bank, it was done immediately after the Don Crawford-run entity had bought a significant sum of US dollars at a few dollars more than the price that the official exchange rate indicated. The bank did nothing which other banks were not doing in a time when an inept PNP government was struggling with managing a market economy which it knew little or nothing about. What the sale of those dollars did was reveal that the very same finance ministry was covertly, that means underground, dispatching agents with huge stacks of cash in the trunks of their cars to buy US dollars at prices above the official exchange rate. The money was stolen eventually. With blood rushing to its head, when this action was revealed, an embarrassed PNP government set about withdrawing public funds from the Central National Bank, making it publicly known. And in the process, it started or triggered a run on the bank which was seemingly designed to end its life. That, however, is a sad history for the most progressive bank existing in Jamaica at that time.
Because although I came into the party through Dr. Omar Davies, because I knew him in the financial sector, where I had been like one of the leading corporate lawyers in Jamaica and very involved in financial engineering. And so when he was Minister of Finance, a lot of the things that required industry input, I was one of the representatives of the industry that he would deal with. I got to know him through that. And that's how I got into the PNP, really, through my relationship with him.
Whilst most people know Mark because of his being a top lawyer and a key man in the financial sector, comrades, this man is all round. He's multifaceted. On November 7th, I want you, comrades, to join me and go with Golden.
Explain to us, Val, what did the government do exactly? Because we only talk about the FINSAC debacle. What exactly are we talking about?
Okay. You went to your bed last night and interest rate, let's say for argument's sake, is at 30%. You wake up this morning and you see a headline in the newspaper that says, government to increase interest rate to 64%. Please tell me which business would be able to fill that gap between paying interest rate at 30% and suddenly jump with no notice to paying interest rate at 60 and probably more. Overdraft interest rate went up overnight to 120%.
And the impact of that action on businesses was what you are describing.
That is exactly what I'm describing. So how is it that these people who are running business for over all these decades suddenly overnight become bad debtors? Do you see the point I'm making there?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
we were villainized.
Yes.
We were hounded down like common criminals. And we had to watch our businesses go up in smoke. While foreign investors came in, they got tax breaks, they got tax holidays, and we were what? Flung aside and discarded as rubbish. We were called bad debtors. That after more than a century of successful Jamaican businesses, the 1990s ushered in a period in which the positive relationship between productive entrepreneurs and their financial partners or banks came to a crashing halt. Thousands of healthy Jamaican businesses, some of which had grown to become regional and world beaters, were disdainfully discarded by our national economic stewards as bad debtors.
Because although I came into the party through Dr. Omar Davies, because I knew him in the financial sector, where I had been like one of the leading corporate lawyers in Jamaica and very involved in financial engineering. And so when he was Minister of Finance, a lot of the things that required industry input, I was one of the representatives of the industry that he would deal with. I got to know him through that. And that's how I got into the PNP, really, through my relation with him.
We don't come to make no money out of politics. We done make my money already. Now big lawyer in this country, big investment banker.
Whilst most people know Mark because of his being a top lawyer and a key man in the financial sector, comrades, this man is all round. He's multifaceted. On November 7th, I want you, comrades, to join me and go with Golden.
Can you imagine a man who has never earned the reputation of being an entrepreneur, does not know what it is to find a pay bill when you have men waiting on that pay bill to go home to feed them family, and that man who has never made a pay bill in his life going to look at people who have 50 years experience as entrepreneur, black entrepreneur who built this country since independence, and you go and look on them and style them as bad debtors?
You know, Omar Davies really does have a lot to say to, he has not yet made, he needs to one, apologize, but he also, and he was the finance minister at the time, and this is why I'm identifying him, but he really does have to stand up before he dies and talk to those survivors, talk to those victims. Some killed themselves, some committed suicide. This is how serious this was. Talk to the Jamaican entrepreneurs, the black people in Jamaica who suffered so as a result of those of FINSAC, and making peace with God and the ancestors.
So I came into the party through Dr. Omar Davies because I knew him in the financial sector, where I had been like one of the leading corporate lawyers in Jamaica and very involved in financial engineering. And so when he was Minister of Finance, a lot of the things that required industry input, I was one of the representatives of the industry that he would deal with. I got to know him through that. And that's how I got into the PNP, really, through my relation with him.
We don't come to make no money out of politics. We done make my money already. Now big lawyer in this country, big investment banker.
The Minister of Finance is more worried about appeasing the credit rating agencies and the capital markets than providing relief for the suffering people of Jamaica. We can always recover lost ground in our effort to lower debt when the crisis has passed. The plan is to reduce the public debt as rapidly as possible to 60% of GDP by March 2028. We believe that Jamaica can afford to slow the pace of debt reduction at this time and use those resources to help the people get through these most difficult times. It is time to focus on helping our people. It is not the time for excessive fiscal conservatism. One thing I love about the Jamaican people is their ability to identify a puppy show.
But you know the real irony of the situation, Madam Speaker? You know the real irony? These are fiscal rules that the opposition leader and myself, among several other senators at the time, helped to put in place. And in opposition, I supported the then government's introduction of the amendments to the Fiscal and Audit Administration Act that strengthened Jamaica's fiscal rules. Mark Golding piloted those amendments in the Senate, and I supported him. So as Minister of Finance, I am abiding by the laws that he and I helped to put in place, and he seeks to label me for doing that. Now that's what you call an irony, but some people would even call it hypocrisy. You really think that Jamaican people can reason, don't you? Opposition leader cannot, on one hand, claim the high ground of having helped to strengthen Jamaica's fiscal rules, right? He can't claim the high ground of strengthening the fiscal rules, and then another make a proposal, slow the pace of debt reduction, whatever you called it, that if applied would imply an abandonment of them. Choose what you want. You can't occupy both positions. But based on the irresponsibility of some of the utterances from Mr. Golding, I'm not so sure we can conclude that his legacy is safe.